Hello and welcome to another episode of the Family Gamers Podcast. This is episode 408.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Family Gamers Podcast. As always, I'm your host Andrew, and I am joined by my lovely and wonderful and amazing wife Anitra.
That's me.
I just wanted to put a pause in there to kind of confuse you a little bit, just to...
Your wife who just had to check and make sure that we were actually on the right number.
Listen everybody. We're parents of 3 children, and if you don't immediately understand why we're now acting this way, I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, it is episode 408. I'm going to jump right into our fact for the week. How does that sound, Anitra?
Sure.
Okay, question. Have you ever heard of the Haslam All-Sky Radio Continuum Survey?
No.
This is... Okay, let me just talk about it. In the 1970s, there were 4 scientists, and the lead guy was CGT Haslam. I didn't even know you could have that many names, but he did. I actually tried to look up what his real name was, but I couldn't find it. It's not really that important. Anyway, they took radio wave measurements from 4 different telescopes in the 408 megahertz spectrum. Okay. Then they glued them together to form what is considered, even now, even though this was in the 70s, the most comprehensive and foundational mapping of the galactic sky ever made. So they took these measurements in the 70s, and they glued them together in 1985.
That's pretty cool.
The 408 megahertz all-sky radio continuum survey has been a milestone of information that is still often used more than 40 years after its publication. I found an article from 16 years ago that was talking about this. It was more like an academic piece. Almost everything, by the way, that you read about this is super academic. The significance of the 408 megahertz survey for astronomy can be seen in the 500 plus citations, which now is over 1,000. I found something more recent that said it's over 1,000 citations, with a peak reached only a few years ago, so like 2005. The studies of the distribution of the radio emission have led to models of the galactic emission. The 408 megahertz survey led to intense follow-up activity and studies of interesting regions at higher radio frequencies with better angular resolution. Large supernova remnants as well as large H2 regions were rewarding targets for detailed study at higher frequencies. All sky surveys made at other radio frequencies were always compared with the 408 megahertz radio data, which was a starting point for deriving the spectral index of the radio continuum emission across the whole sky. What did I just say?
They mapped pretty much the whole sky using 408 megahertz radio frequency, and everybody still goes back to that map even when they're using different radio frequencies or different mapping methods.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a baseline, right? So it's not so much that independent of everything else, it itself is still useful for measurements and things like that, but it's a baseline that they can reference all of their new stuff on, which is like more accurate. And so there's different ways that they've processed this data to get new readings out of it and things like that. It's super technical, super interesting. If you are into astronomy and like reading academic papers and stuff like that, this is something that is actually really interesting. So what they use this for, they use this for studying the structure of the galaxy. So primarily this 408 megahertz spectrum was measuring the Milky Way. And so when they're trying to read like cosmic microwaves and stuff like that, they use this, especially when scientists are trying to read things outside of the Milky Way. That what they actually do, it's almost like noise canceling on like earpods or something, is they take the 408 megahertz radio spectrum readings and effectively subtract that from whatever, further readings that they're doing. And what that gives them is a better picture of what's going on outside the Milky Way. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. So they use the Haslam to remove foreground distortions. It's like a super foundational thing. You know how like we talk about like, I don't think Dominion's that interesting of a game, but it established a genre that's super interesting, and there's other better things that came after it because of what it did, or Machikoro with tableau building or whatever. Like in the same way, Haslam and his partners created this foundational thing off of which many greater things could springboard. So that is the Haslam All-Sky Radio Continuum Survey, 408 megahertz spectrum radio survey of the sky. There's a link to sort of a description of this in the show notes if this is something that is actually of interest to you. And if not, thanks for listening to me nerd out for a minute.
Fair enough. So I've got a message from our sponsor. We'll be talking about it a little bit later, but today you and I played a worker placement game. Worker placement games are characterized by placing one of your workers, usually you have a limited supply of these, in a certain location to perform a task or to gain additional resources. First move reminds us that we can think about our money like little workers in the worker placement game of life. Are you putting your workers in the most advantageous places? Whether you put your workers in loans to decrease them, or bank accounts to grow them, or invest in feeding your workers, all of those jobs are important. Lots of budgeting software works under the principle of giving your dollars jobs, which is exactly this concept. If you need help figuring out where to place your little dollar workers, reach out to First Move Financial. You can find them, as always, at firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers. And you can schedule a time to talk today.
I think of little dollars having jobs as like gnomes, like marching off into the mines, or dwarves, like doo, doo, doo. We
Like
work.
little hands and feet, and they're just kind of marching along.
Yep, absolutely, 100%.
All right. Little dollar workers.
Mhm. All right, so Anitra, let's talk about some things. We've been playing lots of games. It's been a good game playing couple of weeks for us.
Yeah,
There's lots of
pretty good.
variety. So top of the list is this game called Ink.
We played a little bit more of this.
We did.
We still need to play more of it. This is a very solid game. It's not super interesting.
I mean, I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, it's not a strong theme, right? If you're a big theme person, then I
Yeah.
could understand that how you would say it's not super interesting.
Interesting's not the right term. Like, it's not super compelling, but that's not to say I don't like it.
I don't know if I like that word either.
Okay.
It's not novel. Is that what you mean? Like, there's no thing in it that is like, oh, I've never seen this before, or something like that.
There are a couple of mechanics that still leave me like I have to remind myself how they work. So I don't know if those are novel or if it's just it doesn't quite fit for me.
I just think it's the way it's all folded together.
I think it's a very solid game. Although it's a very different kind of game, just like everything it does well, reminds me of Donut Shop.
Okay, sure, I
Just
get
like
that.
everything it does really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe I am just slightly off from the right target for this game. So I enjoy it. It's not ever going to be at the top of my list.
Well, so the last time we played this game, the first time we played this game, we played it 2 players.
Yeah.
And I think even the second time we played it 2 players. But this most recent time we played it at 3.
At 3 players.
And the person that we played with was the person who reviewed Framework for the
Yes.
Family Gamers. And he actually compared it to Framework a lot. And I can really understand kind of why he did that.
Sure. Yeah.
It's definitely a different kind of game, but this is a tile placement game where you are trying to... You don't have a bunch of different goals that you're trying to fulfill per se, but you're trying to create these areas so that you can fill them in and use the special abilities by filling in larger areas to allow yourself to do more things. It's not quite engine builder-y, right?
Yeah.
But you're definitely looking to have some kind of an event, kick off another event if you can.
Yeah. It has that feeling of comboing stuff together like an engine builder, but everybody has the same goal. Like everybody is literally trying to do the same thing, which is just get rid of all of their ink bottles.
Right. And in an engine builder, I mean, you're getting progressively more powerful as you build your engine over the course of the game. This doesn't have that, right? So this is some combos, but you lose momentum when your turn is over.
Right.
So there's no progressive engine to build.
Now that we're talking about it this way, I think it's got that comboing with tile laying. And the thing is that because you're trying to get rid of your ink bottles, what it really is a race.
Mm-hmm.
You're comboing things together to race towards the finish. I think maybe that's part of what just doesn't quite land right for me. And this is 100% a me thing, is games that are a race I struggle with. I just do.
Mm.
And I found that when I was playing this solo as well, that I really struggled to pull things together fast enough to make a difference.
Well, I just pulled it up on BGG just to kind of help frame some thoughts around, what kind of game this is, since we're talking about this combo thing. It calls it pattern building, sure. Tile placement, absolutely. Abstract strategy, probably true. It also says digital implementations board game arena. So this is something that if you're curious, you could check out Ink on BGA.
I don't remember seeing that, but I might go look now.
Mm-hmm.
We've also been playing some more Duel for Cardia.
We've been playing so much of this game.
I have been playing a lot of this. There's going to be a review for this up next week. Our review this week is actually one that Nick wrote. It's an expansion for Rebel Princess. So I highly suggest you go check that out. But next week will be my review for Duel for Cardia. Although Anders had a little bit of a tough time with this game.
So remember all the conversations we had about Lorcana?
Yeah.
Where for some reason you just absolutely whooped up on me all the time.
Yeah, Duel for Cardia seems to have that same feeling.
It's so weird. I don't know what it is.
And the thing is that Asher beats me more often than I beat him in Duel for Cardia.
I mean, good. I not that I want you to lose, but I'm glad that there's a game that he's playing that he's being successful at.
Yeah. But I think one of the things that I've really latched onto for Duel for Cardia is that it constantly feels like I'm still exploring what you can do in this game. Like,
Sure.
there are 16 cards. I know what all 16 cards do of deck 1, but they still synergize together in ways that I don't always expect.
Okay.
That's the core here, is that for a small box game, there is a ton to learn and work through and explore in this dueling format.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of games with tons to explore, we have been learning some bomb busters.
Yeah, so we talked about this last time that we picked it up. I don't know that we had played it yet. Maybe we had just started playing it.
Maybe.
I haven't played any more of it since the first time I played, for sure. But you
I
have.
have.
Yeah.
I showed one of our sons how to play, and we worked through several of the early missions, which are all training missions. But it becomes very interesting very quickly because this is a cooperative deduction game with some interesting elements to help each other along.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the training is first you just learn how to play the game, and then it starts putting in the things that make the game harder, and then it starts giving you the additional tools that can make the game easier.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we're still in the training missions, but I'm really looking forward to playing more, and I'm really, really looking forward to playing with more than 2 people, because I think with 2 people, it probably feels a little easier than maybe it should, like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, this is a game that we bought. This is not a game that was sent to us for review. So
Yeah.
we're not going to be pushing ourselves to kind of get through a certain amount of this so that we can share our thoughts in a more formal context. It's definitely something we'll continue to talk about. It did win the Spiel last year.
Yeah.
But this is something that we bought, which is not true for the next game, which is a game that I was cautiously optimistic for and played it one time, and I absolutely love this game. I love everything about this game. I love the ideal setting to play this game in. I mean, maybe it was just truly the moment that we were in that made it so perfect.
So technically you played it 3 times, because we played it 3 times in a row.
Okay, well, that tells you just how good this was that I only thought about it as one.
Yeah. This is a party game called Chit Chat. It's from Helvetic.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little bit like those timeline games.
Absolutely. 100%.
You are trying to lay out, I believe it's 8 cards in numerical order, but you don't know what the numbers are for any of them. Instead, you have
Well, maybe you do.
so you have a trivia question.
Yeah.
And you're trying to put stuff down into this growing number line.
Mm-hmm. But the thing about this that makes it so good is that they're facts, they're real things, but they're all over the place. Totally.
Yeah.
Like, one of them was like, how many churches burned during the Great London Fire?
Yeah.
Right. I think the answer was 87. Does that sound right? Something like that.
I think it was in the hundreds. It was something ridiculous.
It's not.
It was a
relevant.
bigger number than we expected.
Yeah, well,
for
we
sure.
thought it was a dozen.
Yeah.
So you get a card, which is kind of like an anchor card, and you're, trying to place all these things on the spectrum. But the thing about this game that's so good is that you're just hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
And you're randomly pulling these cards out. So for us, life is busy. We have some friends who just had a baby like 18 months ago, a year ago.
A year ago.
And
He's toddling
I mean,
around.
It was their first baby, right? So, like, if you've got kids, your life gets completely turned upside down when you have a child. Like, it's like, wait a minute, I can't just, like, randomly go out to dinner anymore? Like, I can't just, like, come home and go to bed? Like, what's going on?
Making plans with friends is now, like, 3 weeks in advance, and, oh, by the way, we might have to cancel. And,
yeah,
like,
and that's
just
if you're
all the
good at
time.
making plans.
Yeah.
If you're already bad at making plans, it's a disaster. So, like, we haven't seen them in, like, 6 months. And so it was like, let's get together and play a game or something. But like, really, none of us, we just wanted to talk to our friends.
just wanted to hang out.
We just wanted to hang out with our friends and like sit in the living room and talk. This was a game where you could totally do that. And like every couple of minutes, you're like, hey, what's the next question, by the way? And we pull it out and be like, I don't know. But also randomly, you might know something or have
Yeah.
enough like, oh, I did a project on the Great London Fire. And like at that time, there were lots of Anglican churches or there weren't or whatever. Or
Yeah.
it was there was a dearth of religious activity in that moment or what, you have the opportunity to like randomly bring up stuff that you happen to know or not. And you all just are like, I don't know, let's like shove it in here or whatever. And it's fine. The game fit into the fabric of just hanging out instead of being
Yeah.
the foundation of the experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's great when you have a game and you're playing a game, but you're having a social experience over the top of the game. That's a great thing. That's a wonderful thing. That's why we play games, right? But this was almost the opposite of that. This was we're having a social experience and we happen to include a game into that process that you can stop and start and move on and give up and whatever. And there was no drama to the game part of it.
It's interesting because I was thinking about Chit Chat has some of the same things that I love about another party game while having a completely opposite feel. And that's Green Team Wins.
I totally agree with you that there's something about these two games that feels very similar, even though they're completely different games.
It's that weird, we've described it with Green Team Wins as like, you have these pseudo-religious arguments. Like,
yes.
They're arguments about things that do not matter at all.
And everybody, by the way, everybody arguing about it kind of agrees that they don't matter.
Also knows that they really don't matter.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's fun to just like pick your position and be like, I can't believe you think the chocolate is less important than the marshmallow. Like in a s'more.
Because it is. The marshmallow is what makes a s'more. Chocolate tastes better than marshmallows, but marshmallows make s'mores.
And so
anyway.
So the thing is that Chit Chat as a party game, as a cooperative party game, still has those kind of arguments, except now you're looking for consensus.
Right.
Instead of I can't believe you, it's, well, tell me why you think that number should be so much higher, because I think it should be lower because of this.
Yeah, and you start bouncing ideas off of each other, and it feels like an organically collaborative experience.
Yes.
It's great.
100%.
It's so good. It is so good. Really, really enjoying Chit Chat. This is a game we got for review, so...
You'll be hearing more about it.
You'll be hearing more about this game, but we're really, really enjoying this one.
I really think this might end up on our holiday game recommended list, because this is an awesome game to pull out at a family gathering.
Could you imagine this on the table at Thanksgiving? Especially because like the people that come around the table for a holiday dinner are all coming from... I don't want to say different walks of life, right? Because it's your family.
Different life experiences.
Yeah, they have different life experiences, and they're all going to weigh into this stuff differently.
Yeah.
Oh, so interesting. I'm so into this.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yes. I think we're going to do this, by the way, at Thanksgiving.
Sure.
Just for the record.
All right, listeners, I have to brag on Andrew for a minute. If you're a longtime listener of this show, you may remember that back when we had little children, I would often recommend to people a great game that's for little kids, but fun for everybody, was a HABA game called Zitternix. Zitternix has now been out of print for close to 5 years, I think. It's been a while. And we got rid of our copy before I knew it was out of print. Andrew went and searched out a new copy for me and just gave it to me as a just because gift.
You were feeling down.
I was feeling kind of down.
I had a couple of rough days.
Yeah,
I had a stash, right? We have a friend who always has chocolate in his pocket just in case he runs into someone who's having a rough time, because chocolate always cheers people up. I had this game stuffed away for a rough time, and it seemed like it was the right time.
So I'm really happy about it. A couple of days later, I made the boys sit down and play it with me. Even now, it's not even as complex as like Suspend. It's a lot more like a Jenga sort of feel, but slightly less messy. But because of that, it's the thing you pull out, you play for 5 minutes, and you're just like, oh, that was fun. If that's all the time you have, then you're just done. With any age, any ability level, if somebody can take turns, they can play this game. So I really enjoyed being able to play with the boys again. I'm really happy to have it again. I don't think I'm ever letting this game go.
I imagine so.
Thank you.
Happy to make you smile.
Another game that I played with our son, which I also enjoy a lot, but don't have quite the same feelings about, is we played several games of Unmatched over the holiday weekend. I've been listening to the First Player Token podcast, and he recently went through, they're doing a Unmatched tournament amongst their 16 most used characters.
Sure.
To see which ones they like the best. Not which one is objectively the best, but just which ones do they like the best. Mm-hmm. And Derek Bruff, his teenager, called Sherlock Holmes trash. And it hurt me so much that I suggested to our son Asher that we recreate that same match of Sherlock Holmes versus Houdini. We had so much fun playing that. And I still really enjoy Sherlock Holmes. I do think he's further down on my list than I had remembered, but we had a really good time with it and found ways to make those two characters be a much closer match. And then we turned around and played Bruce Lee versus the Genie. Two of the most overpowered characters. So with Bruce Lee and the Genie, we both ran through the decks really, really fast. Realizing that was what happened, to be like, all right, well, we'll see if this comes down to a health or a lack of cards.
Sure.
Really good time. Every time I go a while without playing Unmatched and then I play it again, I'm like, man, I love this game.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really, really well made.
The whole system just works really well for me. Let's talk about some games that you played.
Yeah, so in that same package where we got Chit Chat, we got another Helvetic game, which was Odin. Now, this is a game that has gotten a little bit of buzz. It's a game that's been fairly popular on the board game media sphere, I guess you would say.
I guess.
So Odin is a game where everybody is playing cards into a central pile, and you have to consistently go up. You have to always play a higher card or a higher set of cards than the person before you until you literally can't, and then you pass. And when everybody passes, you just kind of keep going around and around and around until somebody finally runs out of cards. But the thing that's really interesting about Odin is that when you play cards down, you have to pick up one of the cards from the previous player.
Yes.
And then whatever else from that player is discarded. So if somebody plays a single card, you're going to be picking that card up as you play whatever it is that exceeds it. But if you play 2 cards, then the next person, when they play something, is only going to take one of your 2 cards and discard the other one. And so you keep going around and around. But the neat thing about this is, like, let's say I have in my hand 2 1s and Anitra plays an 81. I might have to pass unless I have like something that is higher than 81. Let's say I have a 95 in my, a 9 and a 5 in my hand. So I play the 9 and the 5, and I'm looking at the 8 and the 1 that Anitra has played, and I have the 1 and the 1 in my hand. I'm going to take the 1. I'm going to choose the 1, right? So that I have 111 in my hand now, and I'm going to discard the 8. But if I had an 8 and an 8 in my hand, or if I had cards of the same color as the 8, then I might choose the 8 to keep and discard the 1. And so this is not just a game where you're forced to progressively play the next higher thing and your strategy is limited to, do I go really, really high or do I just go a little bit higher? There's also a strategy in what cards you're picking to create the sets that are in your hand to continue to ratchet this thing up and go higher and higher until the round finally ends.
And this is a game in which you can strategically pass. This is not a game where once you pass, you're out of the round.
Right.
Instead, you can pass, and when it comes around to you again, be like, oh, now is a good time for me to play this high set of cards and take, this one card that is actually great for me.
Or even if you look around and nobody's going to go out, and I'll explain the go out thing, or you will in a minute, you might choose to pass simply because, like, you could have cards that you would be willing to play, but then the only thing you would have left is like a 9 in your hand, which is a terrible thing to have in your hand as a single card. So you might choose to pass in hopes that whatever is available the next time it goes around matches up with your cards
is a little better,
right?
Yeah.
So that part's really interesting. So the game keeps going around and around, and then when everybody passes, like I said, you basically clear the middle, and then the last person to have played something gets to play the next thing. But the round doesn't really end until somebody runs out of cards. And when somebody runs out of cards, everybody gets points for the number of cards they have left in their hand.
And points are bad.
Yeah, and points are bad, just like a game like Kabanga. And that's Odin. I mean, that's the whole game, pretty much. It can go very, very quickly. I don't feel like this game's going to overstay its welcome because everybody is looking constantly at the cards that are being played, because you can always read or try to read off of everybody else and try to get a sense of where they are, look at how many cards they have in their hand to make those decisions about that strategic passing. Because if you see someone, by the way, that has 1 card in their hand, you know that if you play 2 cards, they have to pass.
They can't go. Yeah.
Right? And so then when it gets back around, you are incented to try to play a high single card to get them to have to continue passing. Or maybe even you open can you open the round? I think you can open the round with multiple cards if it's your entire hand.
You're allowed to play, I believe it's 1 or 2 to start.
Okay.
Or if you can play your entire hand at once.
Right.
You can play your entire hand.
So the point here is, like, this is not just this kind of brainless, progressive, spiraling rise to the highest value that someone happens to have. There is actually some strategy here that really propels the game forward in interesting ways. And so that's Odin. I really like it.
I also played some 60 Second City with Asher. I was amazed looking at my board game stats. We had not played this in over 3 years.
That doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't.
I knew it had been a while, but I didn't think it had been quite that long. I'm still really enjoying this. A 2-player only cooperative game is fairly rare. I mean, now there's Sky Team and stuff like that. But 60 Second City is simple, relatively. The goals are constantly changing. And you're going to play an entire game in 10 to 15 minutes. So still really like it. Still really happy that Asher got it for me for a birthday present many years ago now.
That's so adorable. Adorable.
It was adorable in the moment, too.
Mm-hmm.
He was a lot littler then. And happy that he was still willing to play it with me. I gave him several choices, and that's the one he picked.
Sure. I mean, it's special to him, too, for the same reason.
It is.
So. All right, next, we played some more on our breakfast date. Jekyll and Hyde versus Scotland Yard. We lost again.
Yeah. This is a hard game.
It is a hard game. Look, the DNA is the same as Jekyll versus Hyde, which is a game that we love and we've talked about a million times and we will love forever.
And is also a hard game, but some of that is obscured by the fact that it is a two-person, like, head-to-head competitive game.
Yeah, I mean, it's only as hard. Look, it's a two-player, like, trick-taking game, so it's only as hard as the other player is playing hard.
Sure.
A game like Jekyll and Hyde versus Scotland Yard has rules in it that make it hard.
Sure.
Like, period.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So we're still liking it. We're still enjoying what we're doing. I think specifically with this play, we were a little bit misaligned on strategy.
Yes, I definitely was not paying attention to things I should have been paying attention to.
But now you know, and that's okay.
I only know if we can manage to play again before 6 months have elapsed.
It was
and then
not
I will
that
forget.
long. Stop it. Stop it. But anyway, great game. Mandu Games, 25th Century.
Yeah.
It's cooperative. Jekyll and Hyde versus Scotland Yard.
We also played some more of My City.
Yeah, we're crushing it. We have 1 chapter, 3 episodes to go before the end of My City.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can all clutch at your pearls now. We will throw the game in the trash.
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
The
in
whole
trash.
thing.
We're enjoying it, but it will be done.
We have no interest in the endless game.
Nah.
So-
I mean, there's too many other games on the show. But this is really, it's a Kinesia, like, legacy game. Things change every single chapter and most episodes.
Yeah.
Things are changing. Rules are changing. This is a game that
You're writing
adds
down
a
stuff,
bunch
you're
of
putting stickers
stuff. I
on.
don't know if I even want to say what it adds.
You're putting stickers on, you're putting more stickers on top of stickers later to be like, hey, this thing that we revealed is now no longer available to you. Goodbye.
Right. This last time, we kind of pre-read some of the next chapter, and there's these giant stickers to put on the board. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? We have to do what? Good times.
Yeah. We're having such a different experience of this time around with just the two of us than we did playing it before with the two of us and 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say that it's not as good as a family game as it is as a couples game, but the nature of playing it with 2 players, it's much faster, it's much more streamlined, and it's become something that we can just pull out while we're waiting for our teenagers to be ready for bed at night.
Well, look, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
Right? The stakes are just not that high.
Yeah.
And so it's fine.
Nice tile placement game.
Mm-hmm.
I like what we've been doing with sometimes pulling out and playing a lighter game like this at night. We should keep doing that when we're done with My City.
Sure.
I don't know what it's going to be, but something.
I don't either. We'll figure it out. It'll be good.
All right. And then we have one more game to talk about.
Yes. We played this game today. This was part of our working towards the theme of this episode, which we didn't even mention.
Have not mentioned it all yet.
Probably you're listening to this as a podcast in some form, and so it's in the title, so you know.
Yes.
We're talking about cozy games today. Today we sat down. I mean, it's that season, right? It's getting cold. We want cozy things, blankets and fires and all that stuff. And, you know, to play board games like Creature Comforts.
Yeah. So we've talked about Creature Comforts on the podcast before. Neither of us have ever played it.
Yeah, we kickstarted Creature Comforts. We have the Kickstarter
We
edition
have the
with all the
Kickstarter
wooden
edition.
pieces.
I finally took all the plastic off, punched stuff out, put the stuff away, set it up today.
Yep.
And we played the short version, 6 rounds, 6 months. It was great.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It reminded me a lot of a game like Art Travels or something like that, where you're collecting resources to, you know, build little things, or even the Christmas game, whatever that's called.
Santa's Workshop?
Santa's Workshop, thank you. Same kind of idea. You collect
Yeah.
the materials to build the toys, right? In this, you're collecting the materials to build the items. I really like how all the items play against each other, or not against, but there's a lot of synergies.
There. Yeah.
You know, if you have the toboggan, you get extra points if you have, they call it the muffler, which is
A scarf.
a scarf, right? Or if you have the bookshelf, you try to get these books, which are kind of resources, but not really resources. And the more of those books that you put on your bookshelf, the more points you get at the end of the game. That's how I beat you. I got a piggy bank, and I was putting tons of coins in the piggy bank. It makes sense. The game makes a lot of sense. It dovetails really, really nicely. This is the first game in kind of that larger series that Kids Table Board Games did that includes Maple Valley, Cafe Barras. I think there are a couple more games that are kind of in this series, but they're really nice. Yeah, it's cozy. sort of like, I think it was Ink that you were talking about at the top, where it's just a solid type of its game. This is a solid worker placement game that does things and does them well.
Solid and very family friendly. This is
Yes.
a non-blocking worker
Right.
placement game.
Right. So you and everybody else could all place workers in the same location, and that's not a problem.
All right. Well, we played a lot of games.
That's a lot of games.
Hopefully you all enjoyed hearing about lots of games. And now we're going to take a quick moment to welcome the newest members of our Facebook community.
Yeah, let's do that. We only have a couple this week, which is totally okay. That's why you got a cute and short little kitten saying, "Meowdy, everybody."
It's so silly.
So I'll just get us started by saying welcome to Laura.
Welcome to Tanya.
Welcome to Board Game for All Ages. So this is Tom Clare. He is the creator of a couple of board games, and he also makes these cool things called B-mods, which basically allow you to balance out. I think it's probably balance modifier, right?
Yeah.
That's probably where the B-mod comes from. Balance out a game so that multiple age levels or skill levels can play a game together. And they're really pretty clever. So yeah, those are really good. But anyway, and welcome to Daniel.
Yes.
So like I said, head over to the Facebook group and say hello. Don't mind this cat. I apologize for the cat. It was just too cute and funny.
The cat's not the problem. The psychedelic neon background is the problem.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Because you can't see it because you're blind now.
Well, while we are on the subject of the community, let's do a little bit of back talk before we take our break. What do you think about that?
I think we should do that.
Okay. So, of course, our back talk is both on our Facebook community and also on the Family Tabletop community on Discord. We asked the question, what is your heaviest game? So we were going through our games, or I was going through our games before our episode a few weeks ago. Now, granted, I will say we used to own games like Zolkin and Twilight Struggle and have moved on from them because
Yes.
they were heavy enough that I knew that I would never be able to get anybody to play them with me. So our games, by definition, I knew would skew a little bit lighter.
But that seems to be true for most of our listeners who responded to the question as well.
Okay, well, good. But the game that we listed was Keyflower at 3.3.
I almost thought about being silly and saying, like, the box that is physically the heaviest and hardest to lift, which is probably Campaign Trail.
I think it is Campaign Trail, and that's because we got the Kickstarter Deluxe Uber Death Edition, and it's like...
The box barely shuts,
It's
and it's
so
full of
hard to close
wood
that
and,
box.
yeah.
But anyway.
On the Discord, Peter Schott says, there's a hard question to answer. He thinks it's probably Caverna or Terra Mystica,
Terra Mystica. Oh, such a good game. It's so good.
but he says we don't tend to go for heavier thinky games too much. There's so much going on we just can't concentrate, and kids blathering at each other on purpose while parents try to think doesn't help. I have been there, Peter.
Yes, we hear you. Nick Martinelli says his two heavy games are Viticulture at 3.26
Sure.
and Dinosaur Island at 3.04.
Sure. Jeremy Pike, another one of the writers team, says Star Wars Imperial Assault, which is 3.3. He's played heavier games like Brass Birmingham, but at home, that's not their jam.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, right? And I'm playing most of my games at home. That's just kind of how it is these days. So those things pretty much have to go. Courtney White says Pandemic Legacy Season 2 is rated at 3.24, and Season 0 is rated at 3.17. Next closest would be Lost Ruins of Arnak at 2.93. Nick does not believe that Season 2 is that heavy. I don't either. Courtney says it is absolutely not what we would consider to be a 3.24. I played Season 0. It's just Pandemic, you guys. It's not that complicated. But anyway, so that's Courtney White's answers.
Ken says Frosthaven or Gloomhaven, but he also says, I don't play a ton of heavy games, so the highest rated game that hits the table is Hamlet, the village building game, which is a 2.99.
Stephanie Nye says Great Western Trail and Caverna are our heaviest unplayed games. Grand Austria Hotel. She talks about Grand Austria Hotel
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time, Stephanie. She says she thinks that is her heaviest played game. Obsession might be close behind that. Nick points out that Stephanie has an obsession with Obsession.
Ha.
Have you played Obsession, by the way?
I have not played
What
Obsession.
an interesting game.
That's what I have picked up from what I've seen.
Like,
Yes.
it's like a Mr. Darcy kind of
Upstairs, downstairs.
downstairs kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah. It's so interesting that this was made into a board game. And like, I'm so kind of into it, but also not. Like, I'm super intrigued by it, and I've played it a couple times on BGA, and I've tried to like really master some of those dynamics, and I feel like I'm on the border looking in, but I like, it hasn't totally clicked with me.
Okay.
It's just such an interesting game. Like, it's just thematically.
Sure. Maybe you and I should try it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Back on the Discord, Adrian says, back when I was a teen, my dad and brother started playing the Avalon Hill war games.
Oof.
Panzer Blitz and several others.
Yes.
One was Kingmaker, about the English War of the Roses. I played that a couple of times. And for nostalgia's sake, I kept it. Now I see it as rated 3.05 on BGG. Of the games that I got since I got into the hobby, Dinosaur Island is up there at 3.04, but it is essentially on my shelf of shame. She says, I played a demo once at a con, but that's it.
So I want to point out, this is a moment to say that a 15 to 20-year-old Avalon Hill game at 3.0 is like a today game at 3.5.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any of the modern quality of life improvements and conveniences. Like,
there's a lot more you have to think about because there aren't like player aids and things helping you
it's just the way it is.
Sure.
It's just the way it is. So that that's like when you watch a movie from the 80s that's rated PG, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you get the idea. All right. Tom again, board game for all ages. Ours is, you mentioned Gloomhaven. Somebody brought that up before. Gloomhaven is rated 3.91.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Arcs, which is from the same people who made Vast and Oath and all those games, at 3.42, which he says are both crackers. I would like some crackers, but I know that's not what he means. Haven't got Arcs to the table with any kids yet, but Gloomhaven has been 10-year-old approved.
Okay, man.
See, 10-year-old approved 3.91, like, do those go together? I'm not even sure.
I saw something elsewhere recently, not on our community, saying it would be really nice if you could split apart that weight rating into how hard it is to learn a game versus how much you need to keep track of while playing the game.
I mean, sure, but those are completely different metrics.
But they both get rolled into weight when people talk about how heavy a game is.
Community rating for how difficult a game is to understand.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, listen, games in general are complicated, and we're rolling them in all down into a single number between 0 and 5, right? So
we have one more person on the Discord, Medical Chicken. Okay. And this person says, I can enjoy heavy games, but they have to be interesting. Those who have to explain them to me feel the burn. May God rest their souls. Okay. And then they say the toughest I played was Agricola at 3.63, but I've only played that online.
Mm-hmm.
This person is also very annoyed that heavier end of the game spectrum is more likely to end up on the top of the charts for BGG.
Well, okay, that's a fair point, and I'm very aware of that, but that's because BGG is literally a nerd website. Like, it is designed for those people.
So part of this whole spiel that Medical Chicken writes is, I know this is for two reasons. I'm going to read the first reason verbatim. Those likely to rate games tend to be board game degenerates who like heavy games. Thank you, Andrew and Anitra, for not being the standard board game degenerates.
Aw, shucks. I mean, listen, there are many ways in which I'm a degenerate, okay?
But then to give credit where credit is due, their second point is, heavy games tend to leave a more lasting impression on you, in part because they take longer to play. And the intense thinking, the dramatic conclusions, they just stick around with you longer. I think they're right on this.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's why these games tend to rise to the top on BGG in a way that, your Flip 7 and your Chit Chat do not. And that's something we're always talking about here is it's not a metric of quality.
Well, look, it's about stakes, right? I mean, we talked about Chit Chat and we said ultimately at the end of the day, there's no stakes to the game.
Extremely low stakes game.
Right. None. The tent will fly away. There are no stakes. But but with these games where you've invested hours, the stakes are higher. It's just how it is. Like, I remember we talked about Campaign Trail a little bit ago. We have a tradition with some of our friends where every 4 years, shock, we will get together and we will play Campaign Trail. And the last 2 times we've played, I have won. But the last time we played, I won the game on the last round. And it was just like, I feel so bad.
I think you've talked about this on the podcast before.
It was not a fun victory because I just I literally felt like I took food off somebody else's plate. Like, that's what it was, like a soulless feeling. Like, one of the other guys was so mad, and to his credit, he didn't say anything, but he stood up and walked out of the room.
Yeah, just the stakes were high.
Yeah.
The stakes were high.
Yeah.
You guys were having fun, but there was a lot of feeling involved.
And it was just
lot of
like, I'm looking
investment.
at the cards in my hand and I knew what was going to happen and I knew how it was going to land. And I knew it was just going to be gross. Like, I just knew it. And I mean, you have to, right? You're playing the game to win the game. Like, that's
Right.
what it's for, right? Especially when it's an election. Like, you're not running for office to lose. But two things. Number one, I know that in 3 years, I am going to get destroyed. Everybody is going to gang up on me. And I don't blame them, right? I don't know who I'm going to convince to be my running mate, but I'm going to apologize before the night starts.
Sure.
But
Sure.
yeah, the stakes are just higher in those heavier games, and that's okay, but it certainly does affect these kinds of things. And now I mean, what we're talking about, like the hotness list and the approved lists and things like that and on BGG, and those things are all true. And so there's a correlation there between a heavier game and its positive ranking on Board Game Geek. I mean, heavier game on Board Game Geek, positive ranking on Board Game Geek. But that's not causation, right? This is correlation. So if we're going to be scientific about it, it's a recognition that these two things often go hand in hand, but one doesn't cause the other.
Yeah.
Now I'm being a science degenerate. Ha ha ha.
So thanks everybody for contributing to the conversation about heavy games.
This was fun. I like this. This is a good conversation.
I'm not that surprised that our listeners tend more towards the lighter games. They're like, well, I'll occasionally play a game that's 3.0. But that's fine. And that's what we talk about here all the time. Like, games are about having fun and connection. And we're talking about family games. It can be really hard to have fun and make connections over a game that makes your brain want to fall out of your head.
Right. Well, and look, I mean, for us, our priority in playing games is to have fun and to play games with our kids. If our kids really want to play something heavy, we're going to play something heavy, but our kids don't. Our kids are not going to want to. We have on our shelf to review Tidal Blades 2. That is a heavier game. It's probably just going to be me and Asher. I probably am going to talk Anitra into playing one or two scenarios with us so that we can get that multiplayer experience. We have another friend who I might be able to talk into doing some of that, who I think would be totally into it. So we'll see how it all goes. But that's a heavier game, right? And so it is, by definition, as a heavier game, harder to get to the table in a family context. And it's just something that we have to reckon with. You don't get a merit badge for playing a game with a difficulty rating over 4. You know, there's no special thing for it. Some people like those games, some people don't, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
By the way, I'm going to assume the answer to this is no, but this is something that I've been mulling over, Anitra. This is totally cold. You have no idea what I'm about to say.
Not a clue.
So you could set up a guild on Board Game Geek.
Yes.
For your podcast or for your whatever.
Yes.
What do people think about a Family Gamers Guild on Board Game Geek?
Well, they can tell us.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a question I have. So there's actually a bunch of different things that we really want to hear from you, listeners, about this week. This is one. There's another kind of sort of surprise thing before our back talk coming second half of the show that we're going to ask you guys about, talk about a little bit. And then we've, of course, got our back talk, which we do every week. But what do you think? Like, are you worried that a BGG guild for the Family Gamers podcast would skew towards heavier games? I don't know. I'm open to the idea. I mean, for us, it's another thing to manage. I don't think it'll be that bad, right? I think we're going to persist the back talk question and maybe just have some other conversation streams going. But since we're talking so much about BGG, I might as well ask the question on the podcast right now. What do you guys think about a BGG guild and potentially having some of those board game degenerates weighing in on the kinds of things that we talk about?
We're probably not going to post this particular question on the Facebook or the Discord because the people who want to be on Facebook and Discord are already there. If you don't want to be there, but you would want to be on BGG, please tell us.
Yeah, and we'll talk about, how to contact us at the end of the show. There's a bunch of ways. And if you haven't figured it out by now, well, we'll tell you at the end of the show.
Yeah, I mean, go to thefamilygamers.com and all the information is there. All of it.
Right.
All you could ever desire.
All right. Well, we are like almost at an hour and we haven't even gotten to our topic. So this is going to be a long episode, you guys, but I think a lot of really good conversations. Really looking forward to our topic and our extra stuff after that. But for now, we're going to take a break.
All right. We'll be right back. And we're back.
All right, so I didn't really open the show with what we were going to talk about. I kind of mentioned it close to our break, but we're here to talk about some cozy games.
Yeah, I mean, it's fall in New England. It finally feels like fall in New England.
Yeah, it was 80 degrees in fall for a while.
Yeah, now we're into our, 40s, 50s, 60s. That's kind of our comfort zone for fall.
It is the best season in New England, just for the record.
In New England, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also makes us start thinking about cozy games, the kind of games you can cozy up with a blanket and a hot drink. And
Yep. Actually drinking tea while playing a game or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice. It's
Yeah.
nice. So we thought we would talk about some cozy games. A lot of times during the month of October, we talk about like spooky games.
Yeah.
And, maybe we'll play some spooky games the next 2 weeks and talk about it on the next episode. But
maybe.
we thought we'd skip that topic this year and talk about cozy games instead.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about spooky games. We have not talked very much about cozy games.
So, you just want to get into the list. So we have a list of, I think it's 10. Is it 10?
It is 10.
It is 10.
Unless you decide to add something at the last minute.
We'll see what pops into my brain. These, as typical for the Family Gamers, are not in any kind of order. They're just, we sat and thought about cozy games, and these are the games that came up.
We did a little bit of pushing back with each other to make sure that this list made sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it pushing back. I would call it just fact-checking with each other.
Sure.
You want to just jump into it?
Sure.
All right. First one on this list is a very cozy game. It looks like a very cozy game right from the front of the box, and that is Calico.
So Calico is a extremely challenging tile-laying puzzle game.
Mm-hmm.
Part of what makes it challenging is that you have very loose goals. Not vague, but it's like you need 2 of one thing, 2 of another, and 2 of a third touching this hexagon. You can either do this with patterns or colors, right? So
or both.
Or both.
The real goal is both, right? That's the stretch goal of it all.
But you're the one determining from the very first tile you place, like, oh, I'm going to try for some pink over here and maybe some purple over there. And it's definitely one of those, you're figuring out how you want to approach those goals because they're not super specific.
That's true, but I don't think that's what makes this game hard.
It is one of the things that makes it hard because you do it to yourself.
Well, sure. The nice thing about that is it allows you to read what's available and make a decision based on what's available, as opposed to being constrained from the very beginning that you can only do certain things.
Right. But there's only ever 3 tiles out at a time that you can pick from. So part of what makes it challenging is that as you fill in more and more spaces, you realize that your choices have suddenly gone from being wide open to very, very few.
So I don't actually think that your choices in this game are ever wide open. So maybe that's where the difference
They
comes
seem
in.
wide open at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the big, for many people, knock on Calico is just how constrained this game is. You have a player board that has a border, and you have to play inside of that. So this is a game from Flat Out Games. They also did Cascadia, which has a lot of similarities, but there is no border. You're just doing tile laying to fulfill these kind of geometric, area goals, which is very similar to Calico, but you're not constrained by the outer edge of the board. And so a lot of people really don't like that. I kind of like it. I feel like it makes it a very Sagrada-like puzzle in that way.
Yeah, I like the constraints, and even more so than Sagrada, I like the way constraining everything around the edges means that when I mess up, generally speaking, I did it to myself. It's not like, oh man, the game made me do this. It's, oh, I made a bad choice, or I made a bet that was too risky, and so it just didn't work out for me.
Sure. So to specifically describe what's going on in Calico for those who have no idea what this game is, this is literally a game where you are making quilts and you are putting cats on your quilts. You're making quilts for your cats?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And so Anitra mentioned there's these 2 and 2 and 2 style goals, or some of the hexagons might have 3 and 3 or whatever, with both patterns and colors. Also, I don't even remember what the thing is to get the cats.
The cats all have specific arrangements of patterns, I think it is, that they want.
Mm-hmm. And if you get those arrangements, then there's cat tokens that you can put on your quilt.
Yep.
But there's also color collections, and if you get those, then there's these special color tokens you can put on...
Yeah, they're buttons.
Buttons, on your stuff. So it has literally layers of coziness in it.
This was our first thought because even though it is a challenging game, it has that very cozy feel and theme. It can be played competitively or solo. And even when you're playing it competitively, this is not a blocking game. This is not a, I took the thing you want just because you want it.
Yeah, the interaction is pretty much just in the drafting of the tiles.
Yeah.
The other thing I like about Calico is that the rulebook has a bunch of achievements in it. So
Yes.
there's a little bit of replayability in terms of the kinds of things you're trying to do while you play the game, which is neat, especially if you're a solo gamer.
Mm-hmm.
So that is Calico. Our next game, also Cats and Quilts.
Also Cats and Quilts. Much meaner, though,
Sure.
because kittens are jerks.
Yeah. And that is, of course, Boop.
We fell in love with Boop from the very first time we saw it because it's kittens bouncing on and off a quilt.
Mhm. They're just playing with each other. It's fine.
Yeah.
Knocking each other off the quilt. Whatever.
Like cats do, where they get all snuggly and close to each other, and then all of a sudden it's a fight from one end of the room to the other.
Yeah. I mean, cat owners know this, right? There is a certain pattern of activity that invariably results in a fight. Usually
At
it's
3
two
a.m.
cats are snuggling, and then one cat is grooming the other one, and then the cat being groomed decides they are done being groomed, and apparently is unable to merely say, I am done being groomed.
Like, thanks, we're done.
Right. There's none of that. There is, I'm going to bat you in the head with my paw. And then the other one's like, bro, I was just grooming you. And then slap, slap, hiss, hiss, fight, fight. And then you get a board game about knocking kittens off of a bed.
So, Boop, at its very, very core, feels a little bit like tic-tac-toe because you're trying to get 3 cats in a row. But you don't start with any cats. You start with all kittens. You have to line up 3 or more kittens in a row to turn them into cats. Also, every time a kitten is placed on the board, it boops away all of the kittens that are adjacent to it in all 8 spaces around it.
If it can.
If it can.
Mhm.
If they're not blocked in some way. So even before you take the other player into account, it's a little bit challenging to figure out how to place your kittens so that you don't push your own kittens away as you're trying to make the lines of 3.
Sure.
But then you put an opponent in there and it just becomes booping chaos because you're pushing each other all around the whole time.
Mm-hmm. So that's Boop. A lot of fun. We really like this one. There's a couple different flavors of Boop out there. There's Boop, and then there's
Boop the Halls, which we reviewed last year.
We've also reviewed Boop.
We also reviewed
ago.
Boop.
Yep. So all those Boop games are made, of course, by Smirk and Laughter, or Smirk and Dagger.
Yes.
We are going to speed up a little bit because the show is already going a little bit long, and it's helpful that the next game on the list is another cozy game that we've actually already talked about on this show, and that is Creature Comforts.
Yeah, so we already mentioned that this is a non-blocking worker placement game.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can choose the same actions. You're going to end up sharing a lot of the same dice, so you may want to take the same actions anyway, although that's somewhat unpredictable. Something I noticed when setting up the game for the first time is that in addition to a lot of other things that help you out with figuring out what goes where and what does what, there are 4 different kinds of cards used in the game. They are all different sizes and dimensions. So you can't mix them up. Most of them have outlines on the board of where they go. So I just wanted to call out that is an awesome graphic design element.
They did a really good job with the UX on this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Creature Comforts, like we said, is a game where you are trying to build these cozy things and maybe build improvements that help your stuff continue to be cozy. Basically, you're going through the seasons, the spring season, summer seasons, and fall seasons. Once it gets to wintertime, then the game is basically over, and you tally up all of your points for all of your cozy items.
You get to see who has built the coziest home.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Should all move to my house. It's pretty cozy. So Creature Comforts, of course, Kids at Table Board Games. Great, great publisher. Next game on the list from XYZ Game Labs is Arch Ravels.
Yes.
So did you tell me that you hadn't actually played Arch Ravels that much?
I think I only played a demo, or maybe I played one game once.
Okay. So Arch Ravels is a much simpler kind of game than Creature Comforts, but they're very similar. In Arch Ravels, you're drafting yarn of different colors to make cozy. I mean, it's knitting, right? So everything is cozy. It's socks and sweaters and things like that. But a lot of very similar mechanics with regards to how you are. It's kind of worker play. It's really more action selection.
Yeah.
in our travels to, draft various things and then turn around and try to be the most efficient knitter out of everybody who's there.
Make the best cozy little knitted items. Yeah. Our Travels is a little bit meaner than something like Creature Comforts, but it's not nearly as tight and challenging and maybe mean as Boop or Calico.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be nicer than Creature Comforts, but I wouldn't characterize Our Travels as a mean game in any way.
Yeah, I think there is some amount of blocking with the limited choices that you have, and that's the one spot in which it's just like, oh man, I really wanted that. In a very similar vein, our number 5 cozy game is Chai. We have now moved away from cozy knitted fabric-y things to our cozy food. You are a tea seller trying to make the best tea blends for your customers. In Chai, you're basically a tea merchant trying to make the best, most valuable, whatever, tea blends with a bunch of different ingredients added to your tea to attract customers and fulfill customer orders. There are multiple ways that you're getting different resources in here, between money from selling things, but you also have to spend money to draft some of the ingredients. There's 2 different kinds of ingredients. There's the tiles from the market, and then there's these circles from the pantry, which are more like add-ins to your final tea, like vanilla or spices or milk. Every time that we played Chai, it really did just feel cozy. I love the artwork in the game. It's got tons of little Easter eggs and callbacks. If you are a fan of tea, or if you are a fan of British tea culture.
There's other stuff too. I mean, there's a card with Captain Picard on it.
That's
there's
a callback to British tea culture as well.
That's a British. I mean, he is, but the show's not.
The show's not. There is also like a family riding a teacup ride.
Yeah. There's
and stuff like that.
Many tea related references in any shape or form,
and pop culture references.
Yes. But it is just delightful. The components of the game are very nice, whether you have the deluxe version or not. It's just a very well produced, really nice, cozy game, and that is Chai from Steeped Games.
I will warn, as we said in our review, the original Chai game is best as a relaxing, cozy game if you play with more than 2 players. So 3, 4, or 5 players. At 2 players, it gets very tight, hard decisions. You always feel like you're losing out on something. So for 2 players only, we suggest some of the other games previously in this list.
Yeah, they had a game called Chai Tea for 2, which was a 2-player game. It was a very different game. It wasn't the same at all. And I can't actually find that on their website right now. Steeped Games is going through some stuff, so I'm not really sure about that. But yeah, so the Chai series from Steeped Games is wonderful.
It's very cozy. All right, why don't you talk about our next one?
Sure. So the next game on the list is a game that our daughter loves. Our daughter, the nefarious non-gamer of the family gamers. Actually, I think our youngest is probably pretty close. But this is the game Flamecraft. So Flamecraft, of course, is a game about a little town that has a series of shops that are all run by dragons. And they are all very adorable, very cute. I mean, you can literally get the Flamecraft stuffies, which are also very adorable and very cute. You are pretty much drafting up, I don't know what you'd call them, ingredients, I guess, to get these achievement cards. It's just kind of a set collection game. And as you go along, you unlock more and more shops, which allow you to place your little tokens in more and more places. And every shop has its own special abilities. This is a worker placement game that is blocking, which by definition makes it a little bit meaner than the Creature Comforts of the world, but it is still super cute, super adorable, and cozy.
This is a game that I think threads the needle nicely in that it is a blocking worker placement game, kind of, but it's not fully blocking. You always have the choice to go somewhere and then you just have to pay to go there. And you're rarely going to be stuck with literally only one choice that makes sense for you. So you may have to pay to go somewhere, but it's unlikely to be, I have to go to this one specific store, and because everybody else went there, I'm then going to have to pay a bunch of stuff, and then I won't have the resources I need anymore. There's always the right amount of choices. It's fewer at the beginning of the game, more near the end of the game, but never so few choices that you feel stuck, and never so many choices that you're going to sit there and just hold your head and be like, I don't know, everything is a good choice. What if I do the wrong thing?
Mm-hmm. So that is Flamecraft. This is a game that we reviewed, so you can find the review at thefamilygamers.com. Adorable little game. Next couple, Anitra, are for you.
Yeah, so to be fair, the next two are ones that Nick reviewed and gave pretty high praise. The first one is My Shelfie the Dice Game. I've been playing a ton of this on Board Game Arena with Nick and with some other people, and it is exactly what Nick says it is. My Shelfie the Dice Game is significantly less complicated than the original My Shelfie, and it is just a easygoing dice rolling game. You're trying to roll combinations of dice so you can circle stuff on your shelves, and the further you get down the shelves, the more potential for points they have, or the potential for more points. There is some blocking in this game, even though it's a roll and write game where everyone has their own board. If you completely fill a row or you completely fill a column, you block off any remaining spaces that your opponents have in that row or in that column. So that gives just enough tension of you do want to concentrate on one thing to kind of lock it up and prevent your opponents from getting it. But at the same time, you're rolling dice, you only have so much control in what you do, and you still want to diversify because you won't get any points at all if you don't diversify into the 5 different kinds of stuff on the shelves. This is a very, very short explanation. I think Nick's review is great and will give you a very good feel for how this works, but it's just super short, great work lunchtime game. Once you know what you're doing, maybe 10 minutes to get through an entire game of it. It has that cozy feel because it's all about like, oh, I'm arranging my bookshelf, my stuff shelves, my Kallax with exactly the stuff I want on it. So I think My Shelfie the Dice Game belongs in this list of top cozy games.
I mean, is there anything that's more personal than your bookshelf? I mean, in this case, it's your game shelf, but I mean, either way, right? Like, I mean, that's really a reflection of kind of who you are, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can think of a few things that are more personal, but it's pretty personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, personal in the context of like a cozy, like kind of thing. Yeah. So anyway.
So the other game that we picked from Nick's reviews is Leaf. He literally uses the word cozy several times in this review. We published the review for Leaf just back in August, so it hasn't been out all that long. This game is gorgeous. When you are done, it looks like you're somewhere looking at a forest floor because it's leaves of all different shapes and all different colors, and they're all touching each other at the tips. It gets this really interesting tableau kind of feel. This is a tile-laying game with irregularly shaped tiles. Each of the tiles is a leaf that has some number of points to it. As few as 3, as many as 6, I think. They're different shapes, they're different colors, and when you're putting the leaves down and touching them to other leaves, you get things for each leaf point that you're touching. And what you get is based on, I think, the colors of the leaves that you're touching. This is the kind of game where you can combo things up really well, feels really satisfying. And that plus the cozy look of it that is all about being in a forest, leaves, wildlife, acorns, mushrooms, really feels perfect for this time of year.
I think in looking at the art that you get the sense that maybe you're creeping into that autumn season, and that's why the leaves are on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all green, they're not all yellow, they're not all red, but there's a mix.
Yeah.
All right, next on the list is a game about something that I love so very, very much.
This did not immediately say cozy to me.
Oh, it does to me.
But you made the case pretty well.
Okay, so just imagine you're out in the woods. It's a warm late summer, early fall night. You're cuddled up next to the most important person in the world to you. The fire is crackling. You've got a couple of sticks and you're making some s'mores. Tell me that doesn't sound cozy.
It sounds pretty cozy.
Yeah. The next game on the list is the game S'mores Galore.
So I think we've mentioned this in the past. This is from Daniel Rocky. and his new company, Mighty Acorn Games.
They are small, but they are mighty.
They are mighty. And S'mores Galore is exactly what I have always wanted out of a s'more-themed game. This is at least the third, if not the fourth, s'more-themed game that I've played in my life.
Finally, it's a good one.
It really is. It's a set collection game. It's got a neat little mechanic of selecting a row or a column, and then you have to take everything there in order. And sometimes the in-orderness of it may not work out exactly with what you already have. And so then you're going to have to spend a couple of actions getting stuff maneuvered to where you want it to make a s'more.
What you're trying to do is make s'mores. Most of the time, this is some arrangement of marshmallows and chocolate in between 2 graham crackers. That's the basic s'more, but it could be, just the Mallow Mania.
Mallow Mania was 4 marshmallows in between 2 graham crackers.
Right? And then there's the double stuff, which is 2 marshmallows and 2 chocolates, and then Graham Slam, yeah, which is just 3 graham crackers. So there's a bunch of different ones, and as they come available, you try to basically make this pattern in your tableau through the way that you draft cards and pay some actions to rearrange them, and then you get to take those points. This is not a super complicated game, but I can almost taste the graham cracker when I'm playing it. I love that about it.
Yeah, this is one of those games that, because it's well crafted to be fair without being too hard, it takes a little while to explain how to play. But once you've got it, you understand it's not a complicated game, right. And you are off and running, and you're making delicious s'mores, and it makes me kind of hungry.
I wouldn't mind eating a s'more right now, just for the record. All right. The last game on our list is a game that really, the coziness is in the color palette and the fact that you are kind of appreciating what everybody is doing as you go along in the game. It's nice in that way, and that is the game Smug Owls.
Yeah, so this is the closest thing on the list to a party game. Part of the reason we put it on here is because it's nice. It's not a high-stress party game, and it's not really about playing up to the judge. It kind of is, but not in the same way as like an apples to apples, because everybody around the table will be like, oh my goodness, your answer to this riddle was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing about this game that kind of pushes it into that cozy category for us is really just, it's a game that encourages everybody to kind of sit back and do a little bit of thinking and be intelligent about the way in which you play the game. And, sitting around, I just picture 6 people sitting around a table. The question comes out, everybody's got their mug of hot chocolate or whatever, and they're kind of just taking it in for a moment.
Every time we play this game, the usual response as soon as the riddle is flipped out, like, what shrinks as soon as it is fragile? Everybody just kind of goes,
Right. It's
at the same time,
feeling, that kind of like pregnant pause. That's the cozy part of Smug Owls.
It's that kind of quiet thoughtfulness.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's the one. Smug Owls, another game that we did review, and there's a review at thefamilygamers.com, so you can take a look at that if you would like.
Okay, so a quick review of our 10 cozy games: Calico, Boop, Creature Comforts, Arch Revels, Chai, Flamecraft, My Shelfie the Dice Game, Leaf, S'mores Galore, and Smug Owls.
All right, so that is our cozy games for the podcast. I do want to talk about something else. One of the other nice things about this season is not just playing cozy games, but eating cozy food.
Yes, I'm finally making soup again, and it feels so good.
Yeah. But before you were making soup, you were making something else. And so, it's funny, Anitra and I were talking about this before recording, and I said, what do you think about doing this on the show? And Anitra, what did you say?
I said, I have been thinking about talking about like recipes, like homemade food for years.
Yeah. So this is not quite a for science, but since we are talking about cozy games, I thought that I would take a moment to mention something that we have been making in the Family Gamers household that absolutely nails it as a cozy comfort food. And it's a little bit different. It's kind of a fusion dish. And, I just want to talk about it. Because it's amazing. And if people are curious, you can ask questions on any of the ways that you can reach out to us.
It's a little bit adult flavor profile. Kids are not necessarily going to love this one.
Well, you never know. Anyway, this is butter chicken macaroni and cheese. So you think butter chicken like the Indian dish, and you think macaroni and cheese like the decidedly American dish?
Yeah.
This is a crock pot recipe.
Yep.
That reheats incredibly well. It is a When Anitra makes butter chicken mac and cheese, I am pumped because my lunch for the next few days during work hours is going to be great.
So we first saw this as like a Facebook/Instagram video where the guy was specifically talking about this, a high protein meal that's great for meal prep. And like, I had to pause the video, try to write down all the ingredients, and then watch the video 3 or 4 times to try to figure out exactly what he was doing and when. It is a little bit more work than I normally like from a crockpot recipe, but it is worth it. It is delicious. So I am happy to share this recipe with anybody who wants it. It makes a lot. Like you need one of those big oval crock pots for it. But it's delicious, and yeah, let us know if you're interested and if we should start talking about stuff like this on the show more often.
Yep. So that's a 2-part kind of question right there. And by the way, that's not even the back talk question. That is just kind of an extra thing that we were throwing out there, and it fits really well with the show. So back talk time. We started talking about cozy games because it's getting to be that time of the year in New England where we traditionally play cozy games. So my question is not, what's your favorite cozy game? That's kind of a cop-out. My question is, do you have a board game tradition related to a certain time of the year?
We have a couple.
So we have Santa's Workshop that we now play at Christmas time. We had the Mickey Mouse Christmas Carol game before that. Obviously, we talk about spooky games sometimes in October. But what is your board game tradition that is related to a certain time of the year?
You can tell us this on the Back Talk channel on the Family Tabletop Discord. There will also be a post in our Facebook community. Andrew, how do people find that?
Yeah, so the Facebook community is super easy to find. Go to Facebook and search for the Family Gamers community, or you can go to thefamilygamers.com/community. That will bring you there, or you can look for us on Facebook at Family Gamers AA. Of course, you can find us all over the internet on social media at Family Gamers AA, including X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads, YouTube, both at Family Gamers AA and just The Family Gamers.
You can find links to all of these in the show notes for this episode, or just go to thefamilygamers.com, click on any podcast episode, and they're all there at the bottom. You can also email us directly.
Andrew at thefamilygamers.com.
Anitra at thefamilygamers.com.
Please don't forget to subscribe to this show, tell your friends about the show, and leave us a review at Apple Podcast or whatever your podcast subscription source is. You can also find us on Amazon Music, TuneIn, Spotify, and YouTube Music.
The Family Gamers is sponsored by First Move Financial. Go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers and learn how the team at First Move Financial can help you pile up the victory points.
All right, this has been a little bit of a long episode of nature, but I think it's been worth it.
I had a good time.
Yeah. I'm excited for more cozy games. I'm excited for more butter chicken macaroni and cheese. I'm excited for a lot of things. I hope you also are excited for a lot of things, especially cozy games. So we're going to play some cozy games with our kids. And until next time, everybody, play games with your kids.